about the goals. What are the bad guys trying to get out of this? What are the consequences to us from that? Number one, and let's talk about this one too. There is no better incentive than money to entice someone to click on a malicious link. Yeah, it works, right? And people like money. And so therefore they're going to click the link to save money or to prevent a late payment or
it's usually to prevent negative financial consequences or perceived negative financial consequences.
Yeah, they're going to sue us because we didn't pay this bill. What bill? Oh, yeah, I better click it.
I better click it, figure it out. Yeah. And again, it's inciting that panic in you, and that's what makes you click on it. If you were not presented with that panic, you might notice that it's, the bottom line is misspelled or something like that, but because of that urgency, it affects the lizard brain part of you.
It really does, and it's effective, and it tricks us, and it works because they're applying to that part of our brain, right? So we're going to talk about some ways to stop the lizard brain from taking over. And what are the goals here? What is the effect? It can break our trust with our customers, our reputation, and in 911, it can lose lives, right? I mean, that's bad. Data loss as well. We've seen evidence be lost. We've seen projects being lost. We've seen companies close because they lost everything. So be aware of it. And it definitely affects productivity if you have to shut down and restart or rebuild everything or even build it from backups. It can take a long time. And the goal is to stop it before it happens, right? Be aware. When we talk about reputation damage, this one is really bad, especially against the retailers, but pretty much everybody, right? They really look at methodologies that affect us negatively, right? All right, when an organization is known to have fallen victim to phishing, the people that used to trust them drop by 10% right off the top, and then continue to fall, like with Gmail and Yahoo. Compromises of Facebook cost them $36 billion in value. That's amazing. That's huge. That's horrid, right? That doesn't mean anything as to what they had to do to repair it. That's just the cost to their valuation, because nobody wants to go to somebody who's been compromised, right? And once a phishing attack is made victim, an organization customers are 42% less likely to engage in that business ever again.
It's a high number.
Yeah, it's really high. When we look at the data loss side of it, we see that 24% of organizations did experience major data loss, right? When we talk about major, we talk about all customer files, right? It can be really bad. 60% of organizations that lost data were then, lost data after falling victim to it, right? So 60% of the time it works, even though we have defense in depth. And these are kind of older statistics, except for the second one. It's from this year. So really understanding that we need to do defense in depth. We have to do not just the usual stuff. We've got to be monitoring. We've got to do other things too.
Yeah, and the whole data loss point, is usually tied directly to backups after the fact. If you had a ransomware incident, backups are your way out, right? And sometimes, you might think you're doing a good job backing up, but you haven't backed up all the important stuff. Maybe you backed up 80% of the important stuff, and it's not until it gets to the time where you need those backups that you realize that other 20% is either those backups haven't been tested and they don't work anymore, or maybe that 20% have been missed over entirely.
Absolutely. That's a good point.
Yeah. So doing those reviews, identifying for backups, identifying what needs to be backed up, how often, and when to test the backups. That's really the key to prevent data loss, and even in an incident.
Yep, absolutely. And we've talked about that in past webinars. Go look them up in the archive. The point is, it's really important, and that is a good way to defend against this, right? 83% in 2018, 83% of people were attacked worldwide with phishing. 67% of those lost productivity. It affected them. 83% of the world, and then 67% actually lost production. Something affected them negatively, right? And it's because we spend time trying to recover. We do rebuild those backups. We've got to do that. It takes time, and it really affects us.
It's really about mitigating how much productivity loss can we avoid once that incident happens, right?
Yep.
If you do have good backups and you do everything right, you're still going to take a productivity hit, but hopefully less one.
Yeah, and I know of companies that ran outside after somebody clicked on a phish and then plugged the entire plant, the entire manufacturing facility, just turned it off. Yeah, that seems really devastating. The goal was to stop the harm from spreading before they